When you're walking around a town or city, always keep an eye open for interesting looking buildings. These ones on the left have really caught my eye. I really like the look of the colourful window blinds. And you'd naturally assume when taking a picture that you'll go for a wide angle lens in order to capture a big building, right? But when I do this, and I frame it up so that the view is nice and square, because I want these lines to be vertical and straight, because if I point the camera up or down, you will see these lines bending inwards. I really don't want that. I want it to be completely square. Unfortunately, there's too much empty space, both on the road and in the sky. It's pretty boring, but I quite like the look of these buildings in the distance. So what I'm going to do is zoom in on those, first by 2 times, and I can already see this is looking quite interesting, maybe by 4 times, and that to me is a much busier shot. It's looking a lot more interesting, there's a lot more detail. So I'll take that, but unfortunately I've now missed out on these buildings on the left, which is what originally drew me to this composition. So I think the answer is to actually stay zoomed in, but to step back a bit. Okay, so I've now moved back about 10 meters from my original position, but I've still got the zoom set to 4 times. And you can see that I've now been able to include this building on the left, which is what originally drew me to this view. But this time, compared to the original shot, notice how much bigger the details are in the background. That is the beauty of zooming in and stepping back. You get a much more interesting perspective. It's tighter, it's busier, and it will crop really nicely into a square. Now let's review those pictures and see which looks best. For this shot, I've used the standard lens, which is fairly wide, and it's allowed me to capture this building on the left, which originally drew my eye to this view. But the buildings in the background are very, very small, and there's an awful lot of space in the sky and on the road. In this shot, I've zoomed in to the 4 times setting, and it's allowed me to capture a lot more detail in the background. It's compressed this perspective, and I like what it's captured here, but unfortunately I'm missing out on the buildings on the left, which is what originally drew me to this view. In this shot, I've used the 4 times zoom in order to get those nice details in the background and the compressed perspective. But I've stepped back about 10 meters, which has allowed me to also include the building on the left. And notice how these diagonal lines are drawing your attention to this area of the frame. And I think this would work quite well either as this full format or cropped a little bit at the top and bottom into a square. But overall, I really like this approach of photographing buildings in a city. Zooming into those details, it allows the shot to be a lot busier, and it also allows you to eliminate too much empty space in the sky and road, which is particularly ideal on a day like today where the sky is quite overcast.